Hello and welcome to Adam and Leal.
Nice.
My head.
Nailed it.
Yeah. This is the beginning of most of my Rado videos is doing that.
This is Adam and the Analog, episode 58. This week we're talking to Shea Parker of RTFM about complex games that are worth the wait. Hello and welcome to Adam and the Analog, episode 58. I'm your host, Corey.
Hey, and I'm your other host, Harrison Dunn.
And I'm your guest, Shea Parker. Sorry.
Whoa!
Jumping in right there.
There's a guest here. That's crazy.
Awesome. Hey, Shea, what's going on?
Not much. I just felt like doing a podcast and you guys were recording, so I thought I'd jump in.
Yeah, where'd you come from? Just
So-
kidding.
Snuck
That's
in.
awesome.
You can't stop me.
Yeah, a lot of our listeners don't know we just have an open Discord channel, and anyone can hop in when we're recording. It's a little risky, but it has worked out for us until now.
Yeah, I did have to shove someone else out of the way to get here just by myself, but I mean, I don't know. You guys didn't want to talk to Rodney Smith, I bet, so it's fine.
No.
What does he know about games anyway? Well, hey, this is really cool. Shay, we're going to talk about games that are complex today. I thought that was an appropriate topic since when I watch your videos, it's usually because I'm trying to learn an incredibly thematic and heavy game.
Yeah, I've played one or two of those. I've taught a couple, I guess. So
I would say it's your specialty.
yeah, that generally is what I tell people is that I do specialize in the mid to heavyweight games.
One of your videos tells me that I can learn how to play Food Chain Magnate so well that I can play it in 24 minutes.
That is the joke that people too keep telling me.
Okay, cool. I'm glad I can be original.
All right. Well, anyways, we are talking about heavy and complex games, but we are talking about ones that we think are worth the effort because there's plenty of them out there that are just a drag and they aren't fun either. but we're going to talk about the fun ones.
Of course, yeah.
But first, we got to talk about RTFM a little bit. You want to just give us a 2-3 minute synopsis for those that aren't familiar with your channel?
Yeah, sure thing. So I have a channel called RTFM. You can find it at youtube.com/RTFM show. And what we do is I specialize in teaching midweight to heavyweight games as quickly as possible, but also in an entertaining way. So because I think that, it's a lot easier to understand the rules to a game if you are engaged in it. So I always try to make it fun to watch, as well as, informative so that you actually learn the rules of the game. So I'm known for teaching heavy games like Twilight Imperium or Gloomhaven or Arcs, things like that. I have no problem teaching smaller games, but my audience tends to ask me to play the heavier ones, and I certainly don't mind. So,
And that stands for read the friendly manual, right?
of course, yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is. You know what's weird? When I came up with the name, it was an acronym that I knew, but also I thought that everyone knew it. I thought it was common. Like I had heard it like growing up, a number of times. But I also think that sometimes the like idioms that my parents use are a little old fashioned.
Yeah.
Or maybe just more obscure than I thought. So it was one of those things like, oh, I just thought this was a known acronym, so I named my channel that because I thought it was fun and a little cheeky. And then I got so many people asking me what RTFM stands for, and I was a little surprised to know that it wasn't so well known.
Fun fact, my grandmother had a license plate that said NYDB. You guys know what that stands for?
None of your damn business.
So that's right. Yeah, she thought it was the funniest thing ever. That's grandma humor for
I
you.
thought it was going to be for New York Doughboy.
Oh, that sounds
Oh,
good. Whatever that
really?
is.
Yep.
I mean, that's what I used to do back when I was on Twitter. I would always just like change what RTFM stood for. So it would be like readying 2 feral monkeys or something like that.
Yep.
I would change
You
that
do,
every like month or so.
you did that at the start of your turn in that one monkey game, right?
Absolutely, yeah. You got to ready 2 feral monkeys. Otherwise, you're going to give up 3 bananas, and then then your economy's just in shambles.
Right.
Hold on, guys. I gotta drop the call. I got a game to design right now. I'll be right back. Well, so you said you get requests from your audience members. Do you primarily source the games you're going to cover from the audience, things that you're interested in? Do you take sponsorships?
A little bit of everything. So I mostly So I have a Patreon, and my one of the lowest tiers is like voting on what games I should teach next, and then a slightly higher tier is suggesting games that'll go on a poll. So that is primarily what I get my suggestions from, and while I will occasionally put a few games on the poll, I don't bow to the will of the crowd because most of the games that show up there are games I'd be interested in anyway. And also, if you're just teaching a game, you don't need to love it really. So while most of the games that I have on my channel I really like, there are a few that are not for me, but that's okay. And then I do also take or I do commission videos from publishers who want me to teach their games. And so sometimes that's about half of my videos, sometimes a little less. This year it's been lighter based on the state of board game publishing and companies
Mhm.
having a little bit less money to throw around. So it's understandable.
A completely stable industry right now.
Exactly, yeah. So that's been my, primary means of choosing which games that I teach.
And I have to ask then, I'm sure you get this a lot, but what are some of your recent favorites?
Recent favorites. So, let's see. As far as like new games go, a few games that I've played, actually not for RTFM, but I also make videos for Rado. We do like run through videos and mostly Kickstarter previews, but a few ones um, that are published. So like I recently played a game called Vantage. Just got published by
Ooh, yeah.
Stonemeyer, and I think this is a really, really cool game. It's a storytelling, very narrative game, but it's like visually narrative because you crash landed on this alien planet and it's a cooperative game, but everyone is separated. So you are seeing your vantage, your literal like viewpoint in a little card, and that card has a landscape on it and it'll give you a number of actions, but you don't show that to anybody else. You just sort of describe it because it's like you're talking to each other over a radio. And
Mm,
you interact with the world and you kind of try to meet up, but also there are other objectives that you're trying to do. The gameplay of it is very light in a way, and so it's really just about experiencing the world. And there are very few games that have done that kind of storytelling. It reminds me a lot of older games like what's it called, the Tales of Arabian Nights, sort of a
Mhm.
classic one that has a similar vibe to it. There's also another one called Lands of Galzir, I think.
Yeah, it's a
uh,
little newer, yeah.
yeah, a newer one, and a few other games in this vein, but I really, really enjoyed it. And then there was another game that it was a Kickstarter that I covered for Rado. It's not out yet, but it got successfully funded, and I really enjoyed it. It was called Terminus Frontier, and it was it was a tactical combat game. You were a team of like mercenaries, and you go around to different planets and just take on different jobs. It felt a lot like XCOM, and XCOM uh, is one of my favorite games, favorite video games anyway. So I really, really appreciated that. So that's not out yet, but I think you can still pre-order that on their Kickstarter. Terminus Frontier was a lot of fun.
Cool. Well, one question to wrap up our little discussion here. What goes into making one of those your RTFM videos? Is it a big process, or is it kind of a just do it in a day and you're done?
Mm. Yeah, it's a pretty big process. I tend to release about one tutorial every month because not only do you have to play the game a few times to really understand it, I fully write a script for it, and then I also write every single shot of B-roll or inserts that I use. So, because the format of the video is, I'm sitting at the table and I'm talking about it, but all of the shots, all of the close-up shots of all the components and all the gameplay stuff, that's filmed separately. I'm not talking while doing all of those
Yeah.
things. And the reason I do that is because I think it's important to really focus on certain things. So I don't do a lot of really wide shots. I have a lot of more close-ups so that you can really look at the thing that I'm talking about while I'm talking about it. And
mm,
so the filming process, that always takes 2 or 3 days because on one day I'm just filming myself talking through the game, and then the next day or 2 I'm filming all of the inserts, and depending on the game, that can be anywhere from 50 to 200 distinct shots that I need to do. And a lot of those are pictures, but a lot of them aren't. So the game that I'm currently working on, Earthborn Rangers, mercifully is a card game, which means it's going to be a little bit easier to shoot. And let me bring up my script for that. So I'm doing the base game, but also the expansions, and in total, that is 100 inserts. Um, yeah,
wow.
Now, I would say that's about 60% pictures, so that actually is going to, breeze through it, fairly quickly. I'll probably only need 1 day of shooting for that, but it's always like a 2 or 3-day process. Although I also have an intro sketch at the beginning that I'm gonna need to shoot on a separate day because I gotta go on, like, a little bit of a hike for it. Because if you know that game, it's all about, like, hiking through the wilderness and stuff, so
Yeah.
I wanted to have a little sketch in the beginning for that.
I've heard good things about that one. Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, I like it a lot. I mean, like I said with Vantage, it's a storytelling game, and I really enjoy storytelling games. So that part of it, I really dig. I've actually been playing it solo, partly because it's easier to learn a game for my purposes when I just play it solo. But it works perfectly fine solo,
Yeah.
and it is there's only one thing that I don't like about it, which is occasionally you're going from, like, location to location quickly because 'cause you're trying to get somewhere that's, a few locations away, and whenever you go to a new location, you have to, set up a new what they call a path deck, just the deck of cards that you interact with on your journey.
Mhm.
That's fine, but, like, you go from different terrain types, which means there's different decks they have to do. So you might go to a location and your goal is not really to interact with it, but to leave it as soon as possible. That takes you maybe, 5 minutes. But then you have to break that down and set up a new deck, and that's a little bit tedious. But really, that's the only thing I'm not that bothers me. Everything else about the game I really like.
And the glamorous part about this is, oh yeah, you get to play all these fun games and review them. But the unglamorous part that is often overlooked is that there's some games that you're just not excited to play,
Oh,
or
for
your group
sure.
or your
Yeah.
group isn't thrilled to play. And
Mhm.
oftentimes, my wife is my play test partner,
Mhm.
and there are some that you can see it on her face right away. I'm like, this is gonna be a long game.
I mean, that's part of the reason why I play a lot of games solo. It's like my wife likes some games a lot, but she's not down for the like really heavy games as much. So if it's
Sure.
something like that, I could have a pretty good barometer for what I know she's gonna like or dislike, and I'm not gonna subject her to that. She's got enough stuff on her plate at the moment, so uh,
That's fair.
that's why I've gotten pretty good at just like well, and also because I play so many games for Rahdo, and on my Rahdo videos, I'm always sort of playing it by myself, but pretending I'm two people. So I've
Yeah.
gotten pretty good at two handing a game just to learn how it works. But if it's a
Yeah.
game that I think I'm really gonna like, then you try and get your friends together to play it. It doesn't always happen, but usually I have a good enough group for whatever game I've got.
Okay, and real quick, Shay, do you want to just shout out your channel one more time and where we can find it?
Sure thing. Yeah, I'm on YouTube, youtube.com/RTFM show. If you just search YouTube, or sorry, yeah, if you search YouTube, if you search for RTFM, you're going to see two channels, and one of them is a channel about a soccer video game, and it's got like 1 million subscribers. And I'm not bitter at all about that. I'm the one with the hexagon icon. But if you just go to youtube.com/RTFM show, you will find me.
All right. Well, we should move on to our featured topic now, and that is heavy games that are worth the effort. Or I'm pretty proud of this episode name, "Worth the Wait," spelled Weight. That's pretty clever, right?
Yep, here's a pat on the back for you, Corey. Good job.
Oh, thank you. All right. So, Shay, the way that we determine who gets to go first with these lists is we play a little game. And
Sure.
the game I have decided for this week, unilaterally, is, and I'm not going to participate in it because I know the answer. But between you and
Okay.
Harrison, your job is to put these games in order of their weight according to BGG.
Ah,
And I
okay.
will admit that they are very close to one another, but they fell where I expected them to. So I figured it was worth running. Those games are Orleans, Concordia, Agricola, and Viticulture. So if you guys could just type out your list in order from heaviest to lightest and send it to me in a DM on Discord, or you can even put it in the chat, is fine. We'll settle ties with some other creative means if it is necessary.
This is
All right.
tough. I've only played one of these games.
Oh, really?
Uh, I've only
I've
played
played
2 of them, so
yeah.
you're not that far behind.
It's like I've played the Orleans roll and write, and I've played the what not Agricola, but the Caverna. I've played that one.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, that's I mean,
um,
those are good, I go off of those. I'd say that probably help a little bit.
You said they were close, so I'm not gonna feel too bad if I get this completely wrong.
Yeah, they're
I'm just
close.
typing it into the chat. Um,
So basically, we did the same thing, except we just flipped our first and second and third and fourth
okay.
picks. So we did nothing the same.
Okay. All right. So so we'll go through your guesses first. I think that makes it more fun. Shay said viticulture, Agricola, Concordia, and Orleans. And Harrison said Agricola, viticulture, Orleans, and Concordia. Would you guys score yourself and give yourself 1 point for each that you have in the right position? And the correct answer is Agricola is the heaviest, Orleans is the second, Concordia and viticulture is actually the lightest of the four,
I got 1 point.
according
Am I
to
thinking
BGG.
am I thinking of the right game?
That's the winemaking one. Is that what you're thinking
Yeah,
of? Yeah,
Yeah, the
Stonemaier.
Stonemeyer.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Maybe I've only played I've played it once, and I played it with expansions, and I played it with a bunch of people, and it felt like a really heavy game.
Yeah. Well, Agricola is the heaviest by about almost half a point. It's a 3.6, but the other three are like within zero point zero 0.02 of one another. zero point zero
All
0.03.
right.
So Orleans 302, Concordia 299, and Viticulture 289. So I thought it was pretty mean, but I never
No.
said it was nice.
So I got a point.
Yep, I also got a point.
Oh
Yeah.
shoot.
Well, you got the number one right, so I say you can break the tie with that.
All right, that sounds good.
All right. Well, my number one game. This are games that are heavy or complex, but they are well worth the effort or worth the wait, if you will.
Thank you.
My number one pick is going to be one that is still near and dear to my heart, even though the expansion that I recently tried kind of turned me off to it, and that is Revive from Aporta Games. So I've talked about this one quite a bit on the podcast because I still love it. It's a great time. But this is a heavier Euro in which you are repopulating the land after some sort of apocalypse scenario. You crawl out of a vault and then explore the frigid wasteland and rebuild society. And one of the main hooks here is this big player board that's kind of like three tracks wound in a big circle with double layer player boards and asymmetrical player powers. But then there's also like an exploration tile flipping element and a sort of deck builder thing going on there too. Um, so that description might key you in on just kind of how much of a beast this game is to teach and get to the table in general. Just the base game itself, it's one of those. You'd think it's published by Devere. All the stuff fits in the box so tightly, uh, and it is just a beast to pull out. And the first time that I pulled this out in front of Lauren, she was like, "Oh my god, what are we getting into? What is this?" But my favorite thing about it is like once you get the teach and players play one turn, it just clicks and it makes sense to everyone, and then the game sings after that, which it's just like one of the best feelings. Uh, as a teacher of teaching the game, but also as a player, just like, oh yeah, I get it. I understand how to work this system. If I want this, I know the steps that I have to take to get it, sort of thing.
Very cool. This is a game that I've never actually played before, but I've seen this box and it seems really interesting. So I'm glad to hear that this is like worth your time. I mean, obviously, like we were saying, but I've been curious about this game for a bit.
What did Lauren think of it?
She liked it. Her
Okay.
response was, "If we don't play this again in a week, I'm gonna forget, and I'm not
No.
gonna be able to sit through another teach."
Let me guess,
So
you
we
didn't play it
played.
in a week.
We played it in a week and a half, and then we haven't played it since. So she probably forgot and won't sit through another teach. But that's okay.
This one's fun. Cool theme. And Euro games don't always have a this kind of fantasy sci-fi theme to them. And this one, this one's got kind of a little bit of everything for everyone. It's like technical, mechanical, and then also very very fun environment to play with.
Yeah, kind of a weird mystical magical thing going on too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Always appreciate when a Euro game has theme.
yeah,
Like it
Yeah.
doesn't need to, but it is appreciated.
Yeah,
right.
if you could do just one thing to kind of hook me in, it's awesome.
Mhm.
Love it. So that is my number one pick, Revive from 2022 by Aporta Games.
All right, Shay, you're up next.
All right, so my number one. I mean, I always talk about this game. Pretty much every time I'm on a podcast, I'm talking about it, and I understand why, but it's still worth mentioning. The Twilight Imperium is worth the It is worth learning this game. Yes, it is a very, very heavy game. There's a lot to it, and it's a lot to play, but it's absolutely worth it. If you do not know what Twilight Imperium is, it is a space opera in a game. It is a 3 to 6 player game. Oh, I should say it came out in 2017 by Fantasy Flight. It is a 3 to 6 player game, or actually 3 to 8 with the expansions, and it is a competitive game of combat and diplomacy and resource management in a modular galaxy that you sort of create at the beginning of the game. It has tons of wild alien races. It's got fleets of ships that you can build, scores of planets that you can, colonize and done tons of technologies that you can learn. It's one of those. It's a bit of a kitchen sink game in terms of like just how much they're fitting into it, but the experience is unlike just about anything else out there. And part of that is because it takes basically all day to play. And I know that there are people who say that they play it in 6 hours, and I don't believe them. Or I figure they're just like because yes, it goes a lot faster. But I play like 5 or 6, and it takes me literally all day to play. But that's part of what makes it such an interesting game. It's what brings me back to it because the experiences that you have while playing this are just unlike anything else.
So what was the shortest you've ever got it done in?
The shortest I ever got it done, I think I played actually like just a couple days ago played a 3 player game of it that went ugh. I mean, I was playing with some friends who do not take quick turns, and it took from start to finish, I want to say 8 hours. Um, and part of that is because we were playing. There was very recently sort of a mini expansion was released. It's for free, really. You can sort of print and play anything that you need, but also this what we used was just a little game variant that they provided, which made combat a little bit more incentivized, which it
Mhm.
always in the base game. And I think that might have been the shortest. Maybe I've played a 3 player game that's a little bit shorter than that, but that was probably the shortest I've played. Usually the games I play take about anywhere between 10 and 12 hours. So,
Yeah, this is an event, isn't it? I'm waiting for America to adopt the event game rooms where like you go to an escape room, you pay $30, you got an hour to play.
oh yeah,
Where can I go and someone can host a structured Twilight Imperium event for for anyone to just sign up and join?
sure, yeah.
That's a good idea. I would I scoff at the idea of spending, a couple $100 to buy this game, add it to my collection because I don't know if I'll play it, but I would absolutely spend that much or even twice as much to play it at like a hosted event for a day with a bunch of friends, right?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. It's I don't think it's a couple hundred anymore. I think it's gotten down in price because it's been out for 7, 8 years now. It's under 200, which I is not like that you can buy several games for that much combined, but it's for what it is. I actually think that the price is worth it, and also I would say this is the kind of game where you probably have a few friends in mind who you're going to play this with. Maybe
Mhm.
you go in on it like together, get 3 people to chip in a third of the price, and that definitely makes it a bit more worth it.
Yeah. And as a slight tangent, take this with a grain of salt, but the weights on BGG are representative of how complex they are, but they're affected by a lot of different things. There's a lot of reasons games can be complicated. For those that care, I'll report what they are now because these are constantly changing with reviews coming in. But Twilight Imperium is listed as a 4.33 out of 5, which is pretty heavy. Anything north of 3 is getting into a complicated game. So,
Which was Revive.
oh yeah, and Revive is a 3.44. So yeah, like I said, north of 3, we're
Hmm.
talking long game, long
Yeah, for
future.
sure.
Okay, so that was Twilight Imperium 4th edition. And sticking with the theme of space epics, my first pick is Gaia Project, which is also a space epic that takes a long time and has a lot of rules and has a weight of 4-ish, 4.4 out of 5. If you like Terra Mystica and you thought there wasn't enough going on, Gaia Project takes all of the rules in Terra Mystica. It removes absolutely nothing, changes the theme, and just layers a whole bunch more crap on top of it. But it does
Wow,
it
you're
in a
really
way.
selling it there.
Some people might be turned off by that, and others might be like, "Yeah, sign me up." Right? The biggest difference is while the theme is different, you have to bridge the gaps between planets, whereas whereas Terra Mystica, everything is adjacent. So there's a whole nother metric of a thing that you have to improve upon in order to reach other planets and connect your empire, or in this case, it's called a federation. The other one that I really like about this is there is a track. Harrison famously calls it Wizard School in Terra Mystica,
Mhm.
where you're going
Yep.
up the scoring track with your wizards.
I believe it's Priest School
Oh,
because if you say
preschool.
it,
Sorry,
yeah, if you say it fast enough, it's a kid's
preschool.
game. Yep.
Yeah. Well, that track in Gaia Project is a technology track, and there are 5 of them, I think, and each of them improves a different aspect of your engine. For example, that distance between planets, you can get better at reaching more distant planets on one of those tracks. So there's a lot here. Obviously, we can't talk about all the rules in these complicated games in a podcast format, but for those that are interested in Terra Mystica and have some familiarity with it, I think you can picture what an added zero point 0.4 weight on top of that would feel like. But sweet theme, and I didn't even mention the asymmetric powers. They're like hugely different abilities that each player is dealing with. So on top of all the rules of the core game, it's like now learn your faction too. But the point of this is it worth it? Yes, it's worth it. It's a fun game every time.
Yeah, this is one of those games I played Terra Mystica once a long time ago, and I enjoyed it, but I think I was playing a two-player, which doesn't feel like the correct way to play it.
Mm.
And Gaia Project came out, and I was like, I should try that one of these days. I just never got around to it. I really want to try it.
Yeah, this is one that would be a better experience if you had a board gaming chaperone with you, someone that knows how to play to just like walk you through the rules. For me, that's
Yeah.
Nikki. This is one of her favorites, and I'm always forgetting rules in this game. We don't play it frequently enough for me to keep those in my brain. So there's a fatal error in my planning every single time that results in the waste of like 3 or 4 turns.
Oh, no.
But that's a testament to how good this game is because I still enjoy playing it, even though I've been disappointing myself with my ability to do so. Again, that is Gaia Project, and that is a Fireland game from 2017. Back to you, Harrison.
All right. Well, I'm going to bring us over to something that probably a lot more people know and probably a lot more people have played. But despite its popularity, I still think it qualifies as a heavy game that can take some effort to get at the table. And that is Scythe from Stonemaier Games. Um, Now, I picked this one also kind of to motivate myself to get back to the table, just because it's a gigantic box. It takes up a ton of space, and if you're trying to teach it to new players or just even refresh players' memories who've played it before, it still looks like an overwhelming hugeness on the table. There's just so much there to it. It uses its space, but it uses it well. So for those that aren't familiar with this, this is a not really dudes on a map fighting game, but it's the threat of dudes on a map fighting game, where you are playing as one of 5 or no, one of different 7 different countries
Mhm.
in a alternate history post World War scenario where giant mechs are a thing. So think of a little bit of steampunkiness with giant mechs in the Western European area. And that's kind of what the theme is. So you have giant mechs that you can control. You've got a character with an animal companion who's going out to the world and encountering different things. Aside, Shay, as you were describing Vantage about how you have these pictures that you're not allowed to show anyone, but you can tell them. That's the direct opposite of Scythe, because in the Scythe instruction books, it specifically tells you look at an encounter card that doesn't have a name; it's just a picture, and show it to everyone. So I thought that was an interesting twist on that. Wonder if those are related.
Remember, if it's the same guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, wonder if it's the same guy. So yeah. All in all, it's a big kind of almost feels like an event game. Um, there's always this threat of combat, and you're trying to build up and expand your territory and uh, try to be the best, get the most reputation on this map in this war scenario.
This one is the poster child of this concept to me because it is so abysmal to learn the first time. Every player's first experience with Scythe is negative, but if you can get past that first teach and play the second and third time, it really grows on you. It's an amazing game. It's like I said, it's one of my favorites for a reason. but I've had that experience with so many of my friends, and I have to convince them to go back to it because it's just so much at first, so many decisions and so many concepts to tackle, and it doesn't really onboard you very well.
It's definitely one of those games where if you're playing with people who have played this game before and you're brand new to it, you're gonna lose.
Yeah,
Uh,
Mhm.
that
like
too.
almost guaranteed, and you kind of got to know that going in. It's also I find this game to be a little mean
It
in a
can
way
be. Oh, yeah. Yep.
because one of the in my mind the kind of predominant features of this game is the fact that like you don't own anything or any of the resources on the board. You just
Mhm.
control it. So you ever make any food or oil or whatever, that's going on the board, and as long as your units are on it, you can use it. But someone sneaks in and just sort of shows up and kills the one unit who was sitting on all that food. Now it's theirs. Um,
Mhm.
and there are definitely some people who do not get along with that aspect of it. But if you don't mind a little bit of meanness and a little bit of impermanence, then yeah, Scythe is pretty incredible.
I like the way that Harrison describes it as the threat of war
Yeah,
constantly lingers in this game because you don't fight that often, but you're always worried about it.
Yep.
yeah. I mean, it's much more area control than like dudes on a map. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's tough to not see these mechs just crawling over the board and feel a little bit like they're imposing figures that
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
the threat of war is
Definitely.
right on your doorstep at all times.
Yeah. This is also one of those, like, super weighty games that if you can get your non-gamer friends to play it, this is what's gonna get them into the hobby because
Mm.
it is a really attractive game, awesome table presence, cool theme, and if they agree to sit down and they get through that, they're gonna have a good time. Assuming you don't be rude to them, like Corey suggested.
No.
When I'm teaching players for the first time, I make sure to like never to actually take their stuff unless I've given them proper warning and they still don't respect it.
Yeah, I mean, it should happen once, or at least they should see it happen because
Right.
I feel like if it doesn't happen, you're not quite getting the full experience of it.
Yeah. But further, I just need to go on record of saying I'm not suggesting that you crush the new players at the table when you play
I'm
Scythe.
pretty sure we all heard the same thing. You said beat them to a bloody pulp and then stomp on their remains. We all heard it. Uh,
Turn them into tiger poo.
Yeah,
yeah,
the tiger poo.
we'll play the tape back. It'll be there.
Not if he's editing.
That one is a 3.45 out of 5. So yet again, another weighty experience.
Wow, people vote that one is more complex than Revive. I would not have guessed that. A
Yeah.
point zero one difference. All right, so that is my second pick. That is Scythe from Stonemeyer Games.
My next pick is another game from 2017, actually. This is Spirit Island. And I have been banging this drum since it came out. I played it, I think, in 2017 or 2018, very, very soon after it came out. And it did not get a lot of attention back then. And I'm really, really happy that it has grown in popularity over the years. So, Spirit Island is a game where you are playing as spirits, protecting an island. Who'da thunk it? Each of these spirits is wildly different in its gameplay and in its presentation. But the thing is, you're protecting the island from the colonists that are coming in, the invaders, the white people. And it's a really interesting reversal of the kind of Settlers of Catan uh, gameplay style where you come to an island or a land that's untouched, and you're going to settle all the lands and civilize it or whatever. Well, no, this is the island saying we don't want that and fighting back. And it's a cooperative game where you all have to use your very different capabilities to work towards the same goal, which is repelling the invaders. And if you can kill them all, that's great. But if you can scare them enough, basically, to force them to leave, that's good too. So what I really, really like about this game is just how much variety that there is. I mean, just in the base game, there are 8 different spirits that play unbelievably differently, and ramp up in complexity. So you have your starting spirits that are easy enough to learn, and then you get to much more complex spirits. But then there are expansions which all add a ton more spirits. I think at latest count, if you had all of the expansions, you would have something like 30 different spirits, something like that.
That
I
sounds
don't
right.
have all the expansions. I think I have 18 different spirits. And so every single time you play, it is different. But like all the other games here, this game is heavy. You There's a lot of rules that you have to learn. There's a lot of specific timing windows because this is in a lot of ways it's a card game. You are playing all of your powers come from cards that you play, and some of them you start with, others you have to acquire during the game, and each of them has a different timing window. Each of them has different ways that they're played, different terrains that they can affect, different enemy types that they can affect, different effects that they have on the map or the enemies. And so there is a lot to learn. But once you get to the point where it's comfortable, playing through this game is a delight because for me and my a friend of mine who I played this with a lot, we have this there's kind of a dynamic to it where a lot of these games, things start off easy and then they get harder and harder. This one, it starts off kind of medium, gets extremely difficult, and then as you power up, if you are able to do it well enough, then it gets easier at the end, as you become so powerful that you are stomping through the remaining invaders. And once you get to that point, well, next time you play it at a higher difficulty. So I just keep coming back to it because there's so much variety to this game, and the core gameplay of it is also just really, really entertaining.
My favorite part of this rule book, and the teach on this too, and the thing that I would just like bring up for anyone who's intimidated by the weight of it or any big weight game. This
Mm.
rule book specifically has a section that says, "Whoops, you realized you've played something wrong? Here's what to do." The
Yeah,
answer is don't sweat it. Like, especially on your first play or two, you'll make mistakes and that's okay. And the fact that the rulebook goes out of its way to acknowledge that it's heavy, it's okay to make mistakes. I think it's just kind of like really sets the tone for the whole thing, for the whole rulebook. Tucked away on page 20.
This one is a 407 out of 5 for those that are keeping
407.
track. Yeah.
And if that number seems a little bit daunting to you, maybe you don't want to read that rule book. Don't you worry, I made a video for this one.
Yeah. There
Ooh,
you
Oh,
go.
and also Twilight Imperium. That's actually the game that I'm like known for. But I think the Spirit Island video is excellent as well. So if you want to learn the game, I mean, I got a video for it. It's fine. You'll be fine.
As I mentioned earlier, some games are heavy for different reasons, and it's not always just learning the game. This game is a little bit of everything. It's
Oh yeah,
learning the game is difficult. There's layers of modules that you can add to it that make it even more complicated. There's more spirits to learn, asymmetrical. But for me, the hardest thing is the decision space once you know the game and you're working with the team to try to solve problems because the game is constantly pouring more problems on you as you're trying to solve the ones that already exist. You have to be like forward thinking while you're also dealing with the immediate threat. And sometimes dealing with the immediate threat isn't removing him from the board, it's just moving him over for later.
absolutely.
Trying to coordinate with other players is like, what did you say 5 minutes ago about what you were going to deal with? I don't remember because so much has gone on.
Yeah. And that's one of the things is like so much of this game is like known information, at least for the upcoming round. So you can try and figure out the best thing to do. And that means you have to consider a lot of different variables. And like you said, sometimes that just means moving all of the invaders into one specific land and saying, like, well, that one's going to get screwed, but, it'll mean that the rest of the island is safe.
All right. So that is Spirit Island 2017 from Greater Than Games. Man, 2017 was a good year for heavy games, wasn't it?
It seemed that way. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
the golden year, if you will.
Mhm.
My last game is just a little too early for the 2017 class. It's 2016, and it's the only one on this list with cows. Maybe Scythe has cows. I don't know.
Probably a
Uh,
cow or two.
In the art.
in the art, yeah,
I mean, R2D2 and C3PO are in Scythe.
that's
So.
that's right. And Thor.
Oh yeah.
A Feast for Odin is my choice. Another
Mm,
Feuerland game. They do heavy pretty well. And this is a worker placement game from Uwe Rosenberg, as many of them are. Um, and it's huge. I mean, the talking point on this one is always the fact that it has like 62 worker placement spots. And that's a lot to handle. But the iconography is decent and the concepts remain pretty consistent throughout all those spaces. But the challenging part of this one is it does so much. It's a sandbox game. You're explorers, you're conquerors, you're hunters, you're doing all sorts of puzzling on top of that. And so every time you play the game, you'll experience it differently, probably tapping into something that you didn't do the last time because you can't do it all. There is the animal husbandry element, as I alluded to with the cows, but a big part of the game is just collecting tiles. And they're these differently shaped tiles of different tiers. And those aren't always animals. Sometimes they're loot, sometimes they're goods that you trade for, and you get them in various different ways. The fun part is that you get to take those little tiles and you get to slot them into a grid like a puzzle for whatever reason. I don't know. Odin likes that. And you score points by covering up as much of that puzzle as you can, or surrounding different income bits on the grid. It is the game that birthed Patchwork. So if you like that puzzling mechanic, it's in this game plus a whole lot more.
Is it true? Is that actually a true fact that like Uwe Rosenberg got done with Feast for Odin? He was like, I think I got another game in me.
I've
And made
always heard that.
Patchwork.
One
I
more.
think I would believe it. It's similar enough as a system, but it is looking back, this is 2016 when this came out. A million games have done this by now, so it seems so yeah, duh, right? Like that's a thing we do. But yeah, that kind of polyomino grid thing. Yeah, I suppose that was a it came from Feast for Odin. I believe it.
Well, Patchwork came out in 2014, it looks like. So it might be the other way around.
Well, it was the story was while he was developing Feast for Odin, which took some
Oh,
time.
sure, sure, sure.
Then
Yeah.
Patchwork happened first because, you sidestep a little bit, drop a game, and then we'll go back to the big project.
There's a similar story with John D. Clare because he was developing um oh, what's it called? Edge of Darkness. And Edge of Darkness was the game that he was going to introduce everyone to card crafting. And the publisher was like, this is too much. Make a smaller thing with just the card crafting. And then he released Mystic Veil, and Mystic Veil blew up.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
and Edge of Darkness didn't quite reach the same heights when it eventually did get released, but but Mystic Veil was a huge hit.
Yeah.
Now I almost put Feast for Odin on my list. I was thinking about that one because I agree. I think this is such a good. It is a complex game, but it is absolutely worth it. It's such a satisfying puzzle when you're like putting all the pieces together.
Mhm.
And I would say this is one of the very few instances where an expansion to the game actually makes it easier to play.
Oh, really?
If you've played if you haven't played the Norwegians expansion to Feast for Odin, one of the main things that it does is it provides a completely new worker placement board where all of the actions are, and it scales it to fewer players. So if you're playing a two-player game, there's just fewer actions that you have to look at when you're making a
Oh,
decision. And I agree that I think that the iconography is pretty good. So once you learn it, it's a lot less daunting than it seems at first. But I think Norwegian just makes it even easier. Another game that if you're worried about learning this game, I have a video for it. So yeah,
shameless plug.
yeah,
No, it's good. I didn't know that about Norwegians. I've heard that before, and then when I had it in my cart one day, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be great. We're gonna play this game." And I read some reviews where people were telling me the opposite. So I've heard a lot of different things about this. I would believe it if you can narrow the board down with two players, even adding more stuff to it, because again, the concepts are consistent, right? So even if there's more animals, we can handle that because
yeah.
there are, right? There's like cows or something, or
It
pigs or
adds
something.
Yeah, it adds pigs, I think. It definitely adds a new animal type, and it changes a little bit with the different islands that you can explore, and
Mm,
there's some other stuff like that. But so it's not like purely a reduction in complexity, but I think it makes the base game of Feast for Odin easier to like handle in your brain. Rule
yeah.
wise, yes, there's more rules, but decision wise, I think it makes it a little bit easier.
Gotcha. Yeah, this strikes me as the game that you will never play enough to need more stuff, but but you might enjoy it anyway because we're board gamers. And this one is a 3.86 out of 5. Again, for those keeping track, but also again, don't put too much weight in that because it
Yeah.
doesn't always mean anything.
I mean, it's all fan based
Yeah,
ratings, so
yeah. And what do they know? Just kidding.
exactly.
I certainly
uh,
don't know anything.
Feast for Odin 2016 from Feuerland and Z-Man Games as well.
Let's run down that list.
Harrison, you want to do it?
Yeah, okay. So my first pick, or my picks, I picked Revive and Scythe. Shay picked Twilight Imperium 4th edition and Spirit Island, and Corey picked Gaia Project and A Feast for Odin.
That sounds like a 72-hour gaming marathon to me.
Cool.
No sleep.
I'm
I'll
there.
die at the end of it, but it'll be fun.
We'll make some chili. All right. Well, that takes us to the outro, and we went along with our main topic today in our interview. So we're just gonna give you a chance, Shay, to plug your media real quick before we send you off. But if there's anything else you want to tell us about RTFM, other than just where to find it, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so let's see. May have mentioned this. I can't remember. But the next game that I'm currently working on is Earthborn Rangers. So that is the next tutorial that I'm going to be releasing. It's probably going to come out in at the time of releasing this episode, maybe a week or two, something like that. It's on its way. So if you are interested in that kind of game, like I said, the storytelling games, then definitely go check that out. But also, if you're in the mood for playing a heavyweight game, there's a chance that I might have taught it at some point. So, make things easier on yourself and watch a tutorial if you want to. I'm not going to force you to do anything. I legally can't do that. But if you want to, then head on over to youtube.com/RTFM show to watch some tutorials, maybe have some fun while you're doing it. I should also say, in addition to tutorials, I have been working on a series of short videos. I've released, I think, 9 of them at this point. I've got a 10th one that's coming out soon, and this is called How to Teach. And they provide short tips on how to make your teach better. Because you're not always going to just tell people to watch my videos, and I understand. But if you want to teach games a little bit better, I have a few bits of advice for that as someone who has taught quite a few games at this point. So my How to Teach series is has been going strong. I sort of took a break from it for a while, but I've revived it last year and having a lot of fun with it.
I'm
Cool.
so glad you brought this up. When I saw that you did this series, I watched it immediately because that is the biggest thing that I tell people. Like the teach is so important
Mm-hmm.
in getting that experience to the table and making sure everyone has a good time. So seeing a channel dedicate time to making videos for that content, that's awesome. I love it. 100% approve. I agree with. I even learned some things in all of my teaching here. I'm the demoer and the teacher in our group, and this was super useful.
I'm glad I could help.
Cool. Well, it was great to talk to you today, Shay. Thanks for giving us the time, and I'm sure you'll have some new people checking out your page.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. This is so much
Uh,
fun.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Drink water.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Adam and the Analog is Corey Murphy and Harrison Dunn. Original themes and bumper music by Corey Murphy. Reach us at adamandtheanalog@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.